Oh, okay, we're gonna game. I was actually just looking at, I was just staring at Max, hoping he had something to say about that. But you know who I do know who has something to say about this? Our commentators, John Allen and Blink.
That's right. It's me, John Allen, and with me, Blank.
Hello.
What do you think about Tiamba?
So plane path actually is heading down from the northern side to Primorsk. Currently, we actually had a really good game to start off the day, John.
We did.
Sandhot, Box Gaming taking a really, really strong position towards that side of the map. Unfortunately, I do think that Gladiators really did identify exactly what they needed to do there, which was starting to toss some really big grenades over in that location. They were dealing with Stalwart, and I think Box Gaming made the right move, which is we need to move out early, but some great foresight coming out from the team of Gladiators to know that that would come through, toss the nades over, get a double knock, which is hugely fortuitous, to be honest. I think one knock would have been absolutely great, but 2 knocks just really hits the nail on the head there for them. That's pretty much the chicken dinner found. It was a matter of time before it came through. So I imagine they were very happy with that game. Obviously didn't get a huge amount of limbs. They just went through very, very slowly.
What do Gladiators think of Tiamba? That's the big question.
Tiamba are currently in Severny with Gladiators. Now, Gladiators have really struggled throughout the All-Stars and main tournament dealing with hot drops. Even versus Mazexis over in All-Stars.
In Severny.
Who were the 16th place team, end of the day. So I think for Gladiators, they've had practice versus some teams like this.
You'd hope. Looks like they've got some decent weaponry on board. Hopefully they've got the armor to back it up. If you're a Gladiators fan, hopefully Tiamba do. If you're a PEL follower, watcher, enjoyer. A little bit of damage sent over to actually quite a lot of the players on Gladiator, and not really too much to speak of sent back the other way, which is really not ideal, because at this early stage it's unlikely that you have too many meds on board. Meku, the western outpost, looking to try and control these crosses, but he hasn't managed to stop Over or Tianyu for the time being. Double barrel in the hand Kitsune, though. That bark is loud and the bite even worse in these early stages. Level 1 armor doesn't really protect you from too much. Only 2 shells in the back pocket, though. And only 25 rounds in the M16. Thinking about what they want to take here. And they do need to take this pretty swiftly, because they want to get looted. They want to move into this later game.
Yeah, Kitsune's going to have to start loading that shotgun with cutlery at this rate, but Tiamba Over already down to Tixie, comes out swinging with the UMP. The PPB zone also in play from Kitsune.
Max will be happy about that one. Nade in, Thematic, Vector on the back. Got the AKM as well, it looks like. As well over the shoulder, but a lineup is good. Low on the ammo and a nade to respond. Gladiators picking through the pieces of this fight. Kitsune spends both of those shells to get the flush onto Tianyu and allowing the res in response. Tixie in a position to get res. 15 rounds. The ammo is a real issue here. Meku taking an isolated 1v1 with Ren from Tianba. Another knock sent over to YDD. Tixie still down. Over has a nade. Meku staying nice and clear of sightlines from the rest of the roster. Ren kept away from this as well, as Tixie continues to tick down. Over taken low, and Kitsune wants to chase it up. Good news for Gladiators to be able to find both of these teams' players. Ren, now last standing, still embroiled in the scrap with Meku around the side. The PP Bison has a big magazine blank, but the AKM's going to have a little bit more firepower, maybe wanting to swap for that. Meku still low. The Gladiators can now turn their entire attention over to Ren.
A real unfortunate fight there for Tiamba. Gladiators really just knew exactly what they wanted to do in this situation. They've taken it slow, much slower than we usually see them take these fights. They're quite chaotic in these situations. I did love the grenade, though, and that truly was a knockout. Basically went down more to the black eye from the nade in the face than the actual explosion. Matic found himself a bunch of ammo with this Vector. 183 remaining.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, more than likely will assault this position from all angles. They might take a knock or two, but should be able to get this done if Ren doesn't have an absolute big say into this.
Okay. They all manage to get up the stairs. Kitsune goes down. They take another knock, but they get 4 points They get a northern position on a circle that has shifted out their way. The question is, how long is it going to take them to get looted and prepared for their next maneuver? Because Alpha 7 are now starting to come in from that western side. Box from Yasnaya might start to shift around, as will Alter Ego, and Falcons even further east. What? Where'd that buggy come from?
Well, Solar seems to have found the bouncy part of the land. Not sure how that works, but grass and soil made of jello in this location. 5 Flugs averaging 3.33 eliminations on our angle. One more after this one as well, and another. Treating you to 3 of angles total. The 5 Flugs still have to make some better decisions in that end game. Right now, they're just freezing up, man. They're getting the old freezes towards the end game.
Not Fireflux. Freeze flux. Right
exactly.
Now.
They need to thaw themselves out at the end game. Because they are not fire flawed. They could be fire perfection. If they so wanted to be.
Just gonna let that sit.
It needed to rest. That is for sure.
Oh dear. Well, let's hope they make better decisions than that in their end game, because that's what we're going to be looking out for.
What do you mean? That was fantastic.
Coming into minute 15, they have shunted up towards that north side of the river. So most teams actually looking to make that decision now. Actually, you've got GK making a same choice to move up past Rossok. D plus Kia as well. Maybe look for an outpost there on the northeast side of Rossok.
Yeah, a lot of teams actually heading up towards the north side of the map at the moment. D plus Kia no longer harassed by GK, by Twisted Minds on their eastern side. The Fireflux who will be heading directly into close quarters combat with GK themselves. Alpha 7 moved up towards northwest edge of shooting range, just outside of Severny. I think a couple of players from Gladiators actually have sightlines over towards the Alpha 7 team, or just haven't quite spotted them as of yet, but they are pretty much under the nose of Gladiators. Hopefully they can sniff them out soon, because that is certainly a threat that will spell disaster if left unchecked. Box Gaming up towards that northeast side of the lake. Nice flat land around that area. Good sightlines down towards the southeast. So realistically, their big threat will be Alter Ego. They pass through Yasnaya. Quite split at the moment, though, I'd say.
Tato scouting south. Very, very split, as you say, from the rest of the roster. Going through the Yasnaya fields. I mean, maybe they're looking to check out fuel station. That is
crazy.
This is a really unkind circle for a lot of reasons, right? You've got a lot of teams who have decided that they want to go north, but it's still very much possible that this finishes in a Yasnaya Fields ending, right? So those bridges become prime real estate. Box Gaming's outpost position, really, really solid for them.
I think we were that's crazying at different things, sadly. I was that's crazying at the fact that right now Tony K is 1,500 damage ahead of anyone else, and also Vampires have the top 3 highest eliminators in the lobby right now.
Crazy.
Which is really big. Also, the circle is pretty unkind. Again, that river is always a bit of a problem, but I think most teams will just congregate around these areas. There's a lot of positions at this side of the map. But you can play the ridge sides, get some high ground to your advantage, get some of these compounds. This is a very typical compound. The Vampire is currently playing the 3-story. One of the few in this area, in fact. Obviously, it's a little bit further down in terms of elevation, but made up for the fact that Schweppes can get on the roof and have a peek out, pull up the telescope, get an idea of what's around them. In the meantime, this will give more time for teams in the lobby to head over. Gladiators have yet to push in. I think being very cautious of Alpha 7, who I'm sure they noticed are around their area earlier on, John. But I like Fireflux's position. I think they have pushed it a bit further than we've seen before, which is really important.
You've got D plus Kia right next to the bridge as well in a really solid spot. Very, very difficult to move past that area without their say-so. Unless you're just going to crash straight into them and try and take their compound, it's pretty hard to move around. And that could be very, very troublesome if the circle breaks down southeast side. If it shrinks on towards them as well, it's a great fortress to be able to hold out in.
Team Falcons, one of the few teams, in fact, one of the only teams outside in the blue, passing Mansion itself over towards the fielded region. 628. Who were on a real tear yesterday, actually. And some really good work. Max highlighted Yang 1 as his player to watch today. Hasn't done too much so far, but they certainly were a team that started blasting out towards the end of the day. 2 really high elimination count games in a row. Miramar to Miramar, and that might just be, you know, their playground, which is Miramar, where they have the most success on it. But we'll see as we head further into the match. Gladiators doing, oh, Matic. They've got overconfident after their last game.
I hope not.
Matic's leash has been completely let out.
The circle does isolate a little bit to the northern side now, Blank, so these teams all playing up towards those Yasnaya fields going to have to make fast moves. The Stalwart, Twisted Minds, DRS, Reject Tokyo, 628 as well as Falcons. I mean, they have so few choices, few options in their arsenal to move through, and all of them are very, very dangerous.
Yeah, the pizza slice, man. An interesting place to finish. I think if you're Fireflux right now, though, you do have a big responsibility for the western side. A lot of other teams are relying on Fireflux to actually take down the teams who are floating through that bridge. But yeah, you're right. There's really not a lot of opportunities to get through. This is one of those weird circles where there's Rozhok Bridge, there's Yaz West Bridge, and there's also the offshoot just underneath Stalber. But these are all very, very close quarter situations.
Okay.
D plus Kia got down towards the south side of Fireflux. They regroup. Now Satan will have to face off against Easy, not able to do it.
The crash starting well for Twisted Minds here. They managed to get a knock on the opener. Satan falls next as well. Only Rolkiss falls in response. And now it's just Fabian and Osal to try and keep themselves in this one. But Twisted Minds have other ideas. Rolkiss down and flushed. Dammy also knocked, but with Fabian out of it, the heal needs to come through for Forest. Has that first aid. Not really too many stims to worry about. Fireflux are chiming in as a third party. Vampire have rolled up close as well. Not right into the fray. The Forest descends from the top. The attic was his respite, but no longer will it be. Twisted Minds with a blinder of a push onto D plus Kia's compound.
Yeah, Fabian there tried to help the rest of his team, and in the end, not able to do it with Forest. And trying to blow the dust off the books, but eventually those books were placed back in the attic to rot away. And we'll see D plus Kia again in the next game, but not here. And for the Korean team, this is a sad start to their tournament indeed. The main tournament here at PMWI. Vampire, under all that chaos though, we're able to get far in towards the circle. In comes the Infinity action. Takes down Bensu. The big damage dealer. Ferrari though, definitely stepped up on that last game.
Immediately sitting for the res on Stalwart north side. Important to stay as 4 when you're pushing towards the Gladiators' position. Nerzed rolling forwards in the UAS, but Top has gotten taken down as well. That is really bad news. The backstop for the roster to bring up the rear of their rotational path. Icy and Action both needing to force those heals, and Top really flagging now. The zone closing, heading towards the point where you cannot get these reses. And with Nerzed falling as well, Gladiators might have just isolated the entirety of this north side.
Yeah, Nerzed goes down. An unfortunate start for Stalwart as they get caught up in the action on that side. Gladiator's split was pretty crazy. Maybe they sent Matic up towards Stalber's side to ensure there wasn't a really wide ramp, and I can kind of agree with that one. And I think it's one of those situations where you see Matic go wide and you think, oh my god, he's never coming back. He's never coming home. But this instance does return. And they did see that there was no one wrapping hard around Stalber, so can continue to play this northern side. Seems to be working out for them. GK though, finding 628 Sunan. The M249, heavy weapon.
In comes Delta from DRS though, getting a little bit of scouting done, and Killer to move in. Maybe they want to try and third party here. Gladiators still aware that there's 2 players out in the zone. get a replay of Action taking down Bensu and immediately stopping for the res onto Icy there. You might have to do the same now, but unfortunately with the blue zone as it is, it's just not going to be possible. The Gladiators, they want to finish the job. They want to get that final elimination, but Action doing his best to deny that opportunity. Moving over the hillside, Matic and Tixi all trying to just be a hasty position where they can spot Action, but he's out of the blue zone and safe for the time being, but for how much longer?
Gladiators. They're looking to push further down. Alpha 7 have found themselves a pretty neat little spot. First time in a while, we do see Fireflux towards these later circles, towards the center as well. I mean, we kept praising them for how well they have controlled late game circles, but they have huddled far too much as of recent. And on our map as well, you can just see that they are practically on top of each other currently. Alter Ego is making their wrap over the lakeside. They passed box game, they were able to make it through, and they were on a really difficult rotate from underneath Yasnaya. The fact that they've made it, it's pretty decent. DRS, once again, they make a good rotate, but it's this push into the circle itself, which feels a bit difficult. Action gets taken down from Stalwart. A great shot from Rosemary to finish things off. And Sarah actually opens up towards DRS. And this is what I'm talking about. They just cannot find their way into the circle. Even versus a team like Reject Tokyo, just not as free as it was over in All-Stars.
They put themselves on the starter block for a good sprint, but they missed the starting pistol, and they just don't have that power to push forwards. They're left a little bit behind. Falcons get overwhelmed a little bit there by Box. Ooh. Zara is into the fray, but Killer, Retribution on the bumper as he sails straight on through. Picks up the frag as well. Now just Lufa from Reject Tokyo.
Yeah, this is the thing, man, as well, is that if DRS had 4 killers, this would be a very different story, but he is really the one keeping this team glued together. 6-8 with the 3-man buff so far that they performed marvelously well with yesterday. Maybe this is it. Maybe they'd have to take a little bit of damage before they can be pumping out some of their own. Nade goes over towards DRS at the moment. Yang 1 also out the side, and 33Z should be placing this nade just right.
Spray from 33Z. Quite landing just yet. A Western hard shift on this circle means Box have more ground to cover, but they've spotted Rosemary and taken knock over towards Alter Ego on their north flank. They can start to move along this coast should they want to, or just send straight into this engagement with Alter Ego. They're trying to change their minds on that.
Yeah, it's a difficult run now for a lot of these teams as we head over towards very flat ground. It's one of the more interesting finishes over towards this side because of the amount of trees that are involved. I think games are quite interesting. Tixi, though, able to take down Lufa and get the res. Really important for them. A lot of times their games go downhill as soon as they take that first initial knock. They get instantly flushed a few times. Even Kitsune finding 33Z as well on that northern side. And Tixi's bagged them a spot. Nothing amazing. It's not a full apartment. It's a shack, but it'll be better than nothing.
And not too many teams are going to look for that full north wrap. I mean, Alter Ego, probably the only team that could do it. Alpha 7, not going to leave their position for it. And Box have been kind of boxed in their position, forced to go for a full fight, probably with Fireflux playing as 3. So potential relative safety for Gladiators on that northwest side as DRS are finally dispatched on the west.
Octa from Alter Ego. Slipped down the rankings so far, down to 51 points. I think they'd like to change that, considering they had a great start yesterday, and Rosemary opens things up with a nice bouncer of the 1G. But Gosu, goodness! Oh. Some great shots as he scans the open ground.
Third party from Fireflux as they spot Kwangji to take it down. Duck and Gosu now riding in the buggy with full broadside onto a lot of players here. This is a mad dash for Box to try and get out of dodge. Trong wants to get in a vehicle soon, I'd imagine, try and back up his teammate. How has his team managed to move forwards and not get shot out there? That was an impressive dash. Maybe a little bit harder the second time around. Alter Ego move in parallel. Falcons a little bit behind and have been beaten to the punch there. Alter Ego being taken apart here just a little bit. A lot of damage pouring out their way, but they have got to the shack and they have got to that cover.
Yeah, Alter Ego certainly suffering some scrapes here and there. Pull out the old band-aids, get those covered up. Doctor gets back inside, get back up to pretty happy health pools. Fireflux really have not got involved too much on any of these engagements, but we complain about all the time, because we are complainers here on the casting desk.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to see them take some more shots here, because right now, these injuries taking damage, not dealing much of anything. Tixi also takes a shot of his own. That's from Alpha 7, who have found some really good shots over that way, even picking up MechQ. Senatexa will finish Tixi in the process. Fireflux have now started to hit some shots of their own over towards Team Falcons. And to keep them at bay as much as possible. Next circle to shift.
Alter Ego with 2 players on the floor, Fnatic and Potato, trying to keep them in the game. Twisted Minds are eliminated in the meantime. Rosemary close to Fnatic, but Trong is there as well. Only 14, so no DBS in the back pocket. Alpha 7, they move out of their safety over this hillside. Should be able to clean up this third party relatively easily. Duck spotted as Senatexa unleashes the entire mag their way. Doesn't get the knock for it, though. A nade over the top to the position, looking for a final blow to be dealt. Duck does get knocked. I think that's coming through from Vampire, who are playing from the southwestern side. They're still alive, by the way. We haven't really talked about them much, Blank, but tournament toppers, Vampire, just keep going.
Yeah, they've been hitting some real brutal shots this game. The side swipes have been cutting teams in half. Fireflux still has their vendetta, though, versus Team Falcons. Seems to be the only team they're currently focusing on. And Alpha 7 takes down Box Gaming. And it's a sad and sorry state for Box to find themselves in, because 1 minute they're looking at an injured, very much injured Alter Ego. And from the smoke, does not emerge Alter Ego. It's Alpha 7 at full HP. Kitsune tries to take some shots, but Alpha 7 are just moving in. A nade's dropped on the side here, but it looks like they're going to head over towards Matic's position. He's doing a good amount of damage to the process. Mafioso very low.
Not going to be taken down, though, and it leaves just Kitsune for Gladiators. He'll have to move further south and away from the shack. They know he's there as well with the shots that he was able to take out their way. 9 eliminations for the Gladiators and already a 4th place. So a very good result. It started off very hectic for them as well, so they were delayed in their leave from Severny. Alpha 7 were able to move past them, in fact, earlier in the game and take that position that maybe could have been Gladiators.
I mean, Alpha 7 play a very similar play style to Gladiators, right? They're both sweeping teams. I think at the moment, if you just look at Alpha 7, though, the confidence is through the roof for these guys. And they just have these players with the mechanical skill to back it up. And Gladiators are making the right decisions a lot of times, but I just could not see Gladiators taking that same push over towards Box Gaming, leaving Revo behind there as well. But this off angle, I mean, it's great information gathering they're pushing through, and great manipulation of the lobby, which is the main thing. But Vampires, you see them in a circle like this, you see the split come through like this. You think it can only end with a Vampire taking more names off their list.
Kitsune giving up the ghost on this one. I think they'll take the 4th place with 9 eliminations. Off the back of a chicken dinner as well. Gladiators have had a very, very good start to today, exactly. Right, they have put themselves very much back in the conversation for the top of the tables, but with Vampires playing as they have, I mean, there's just seems so hard to catch up to them on those overall tables.
Yeah, the Vampires are just crushingly difficult to play against a lot of times. They just come into PMWI with this attitude that everything is theirs to take at the end of the day, and you see it with the way they play these end games. Stone, though, again, really nice angle on the back. Schweppes goes up to meet him. Ravenclaw and Tony K up front. And the circle heads over towards this western side. Fireflux still have not moved. And I need to get through to customer service for Fireflux because we have the same problems every single time. And they get lost at this point. I think someone needs to provide them with some kind of GPS.
I mean, they are in 3rd place with 5 eliminations, though. So this game, not a bust for them. As much as the mistakes that they seem to make.
but they were here very early. This is
exactly.
the thing.
Yeah, this is as you've highlighted rightly so many times. They won't be punished for it this game, but that doesn't mean it wasn't. It was the right play necessarily.
Yeah, because they were just sat inside this building for a long, long while. And this is the first time we've seen the circle go away from them. What do we immediately see? Fireflux's health bars start to dwindle and diminish. Now, this is a fight I do want to see, though, is Vampires versus Alpha 7. This is going to be one hell of an engagement. Oh, it's 4v4. And that's them down. Revo picks them apart.
That was disgusting. Can't be doing that.
It's a one-man army.
Not live on broadcast. Unacceptable behavior. But Fireflux smashed apart to pieces. And now Alpha 7 have 9 points on eliminations. Vampire with 7.
This
Pitched warfare between two titanic teams.
Yeah, it's such a cool finish as well because both these teams, yeah, macro-wise, they're very good. The strategy is there. But we both know that these are mechanically skilled players. And putting them head-to-head in this kind of terrain, where it's just whoever can make the best play, whoever has the best gun skill, just takes it. And we'll get the chicken dinner. I mean, this will really say something. And for either side, knowing that Alpha 7 is only a little bit behind Vampires at the moment, they can beat Alpha 7. You know, now they have even more confidence. They feel like the kings of the lobby. If Alpha 7 can beat Vampires, then they suddenly feel like, you know, there's a chance now to dethrone Vampires from their current position. I really do feel like this is 1 in 1,000 games you get to see this type of thing.
Circle doesn't really favor anyone as well. It's
Yeah.
not like it's just given it. There is a lot to prepare here. Quite a few smokes left. Alpha 7 Vampire looking to make their move as well. You can see that train starting to extend from Ravenclaw's position, allowing them to move forwards a little bit. Mafioso has that little ridge that you can see Stoned is having the vision blocked by. And it is these inches now being taken by Alpha 7 first that could give them the advantage in this fight with Vampire.
Yeah, that tree is real important. Mafioso takes a big hit. And that might give time for Ravenclaw to stand up and actually get the long lob on the grenade over towards the tree. More than likely where Revo is headed towards. They want Revo up close and personal. They know that you put a shotgun in this guy's hands and he becomes one with a shotgun. Let's put it that way. It's an extension of his own body.
I think Alpha 7 have marshaled this terrain better over the last 30 seconds. With Mafioso breaking out as wide as he has, they now have their strong, solid position in this circle. I like the spot better than I like Vampires.
I think they were close enough to the type of terrain that allowed you to move up with relative cover. But wow, Tony K! What a shot. That's so important. That's the off angle. Really incredible play. And he's actually going to move around in the buggy, reposition instantaneously. That is so mega. He moves to the other side, understanding the off angle's gone. Now him and the rest of the team can focus on the main squad.
It's the great Stormzy once said, way too big for your boots there, Mafioso. Gets sat back, humbled on the off angle. And what an opener to find for Tony K on Vampire. They started the game for Alpha 7 13 points behind. It's not going to change too much on that differential here, but an aid over the top and Revo's next to fall. Ravenclaw wins his trade with Carrillo, and the Vampire squads bite back from the marshalling of the terrain.
Humiliation!
The last to go down, 11 eliminations, and that was a masterclass of open terrain warfare. Alpha 7 move through, they establish their lines, they get their positions, but at the end of the day, Blank, you called it. Gun skill. Tony K lands that shot and they move